Welcome to this podcast from the Human Capital Institute's How Should You Hire 100K Plus Talent webcast, sponsored by The Ladders. This event was presented by Alan Schweier, Principal, Author, and Analyst for Center for Human Capital Innovation. Barely a decade ago, organizations had only a few options when it came to high-level hiring. Then the late 1990s gave birth to internet job boards, and from there, specialized websites emerged that focus exclusively on six-figure hires. Now hiring managers are using Web 2.0 and social networking tools. So what should you use, traditional or new? Which delivers the best candidates at the lowest cost and requires the least investment of time on your part? In this survey, hundreds of recruiters share their experiences with traditional and new recruiting tools, specifically for the 100K plus talent market. Take a listen.
When we look back at data from before the recession, which I'll show in a moment, we saw that the growth in those earning $100,000 above in salary was trending quite steeply upward. Even in our research, we found that nearly 1 in 5 workers earn $100,000 or more in the majority of organizations. And that's now with the recession that this is the case. So still a very strong category, if you will, and something that we believe is going to trend upward very quickly as the recession turns to recovery. And quality is still the issue. You would think that with as deep a recession as we had, as high as unemployment has risen, that there would just be more senior level, highly talented individuals out there in the marketplace, and there probably are. But the fact is that, as you can see from our results here, quality of candidates and availability of candidates are still the two major challenges that organizations are facing. Not so much even cost in comparison to quality here. And this can only be expected to become a bigger problem once that talent is taken off the market with the recovery, and we're back to competing very, very fiercely for all the available talent that's out there. And especially if you agree that there will be more demand for senior level talent as we come out of the recession. So
Alan, Alan, in these challenges, Darcy from the audience would like to know, thanks Darcy for the question, if you can differentiate for us between the definition of quality of hire and quality of candidates.
Yeah, it's a very good question. What we wanted to know was whether organizations were finding that the candidates they were getting from a variety of sources, and we'll talk about the sources in a moment, were of high quality. So were they starting with 10, 20, 30 good quality candidates for a position, or even 3 or 4 or 5. And then quality of hire, in most cases falls more on the organization itself as it makes a decision which person referred to them to hire. But still, as you can see here, a challenge. But the big challenge here is quality of candidates. And we'll look at that because in a lot of cases, organizations are relying on things like employee referral, a very good way to recruit, as everyone knows. Large job boards, small job boards, a variety of sources, and are not finding, in many cases, that the quality of candidates that are coming from those sources are really what they're looking for. So a bit of a difference here, candidates versus the actual person they hire. But let's look at some of the methods now. Obviously, job boards, the big job boards, Monster, Hot Jobs, Career Builder, excellent sources for candidates, probably the biggest recruiting tools in the history of recruiting at this stage, unless you, perhaps with the exception of employee referral, but they've just grown tremendously. They house millions and millions of resumes, millions of jobs. Most every organization uses them or has used them, so they are a very important tool. But when we asked about senior level recruiting, 100K and above, we received the following the feedback. Some don't use big job boards at all for senior level recruiting, more than a quarter. But the big thing to point out here is quality again. Too many unqualified candidates, not enough qualified candidates. So they're getting swamped with resumes that they have to go through that are unqualified, costing them time and money to do so. And even after they've gone through that exercise, the ones that remain are not sufficient to, in many cases, to fill the 100K plus job. So they're spending time. Maybe they're saving a little bit of money going through the job board as opposed to other sources. But at the end of the, I don't want to use that term, at the end of the day, sorry. But at the end of the recruiting effort, let's say, they're not getting enough qualified candidates. So there is a challenge here with the big job boards when it comes to senior level hiring. The specialized job sites were a third category that we looked at closely and asked questions about. These are job sites, in this case, that focus on $100,000 and above talent, or mainly focus on $100,000 and above talent. If they use them, why do they do so? Were among the questions we asked, and we found, as you can see here, that they use them for quality. So if a 100K plus job site screens candidates, ensures that there aren't inappropriate candidates in the database, then the quality of candidates is clearly likely to be better. The quantity may not be as high, but the quality issue is at least in part resolved here. And as you can see at the bottom, I don't get inundated with inappropriate candidates. So it answers the challenges of those two very important components, quality and sort of inundation that happen with the bigger job boards. So maybe no big surprises here either, but specialized job sites, particularly 100K and above, tend to do better when it comes to quality of candidates and avoiding that inundation than do the big job boards in this category of hiring. What we really sort of summarized or found as we were looking through all of the different methods of recruiting senior level hires is that these methods have real sweet spots. So if you look at large public job sites, it's not fair to say that these sites aren't useful because we all know that they are, and we pretty much all use them, and we get varying results. But we tend to get better results at the entry level and mid levels, hiring out of colleges, hiring people in their mid careers, than we do trying to source and recruit people at a senior level. And that's probably because people at a senior level don't as often toss their resume into the millions of resumes that form the large public sites. They don't have the time to fill out the resumes necessarily. They want a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more of a hands-on approach than more junior employees. Corporate career sites are a good source. Most every organization has one today. Obviously very useful across the range, but again, not as many senior level individuals are going to be surfing corporate career sites as are in the entry levels and mid-level parts of their career. And they probably aren't filling out all of those different profiles that corporate career sites make you fill out. There's no standardization. It takes an awful long time to fill out those profiles, and if you go to 6 or 7 sites in a day, that's pretty much your whole day filling out forms. And what we found in our interviews is that senior level hires are really not doing that very much. So corporate career sites good, but maybe not into this category. We looked at specialized sites. Some of them leak into the 100K to 300K range, certainly, but they're also more specialized at that, maybe not at the entry level so much, but in the mid-career professional categories. 100K sites are built for 100K recruiting, but still have in some cases, some shortcomings that don't make it perfect for this category. Executive search, too expensive. Employee referral, great, but as you get into the higher ranges, again, you have fewer employees in those ranges, therefore fewer good referrals. And social networks, a little bit of a question mark now, something to be seen, but we put it as sort of straddling both, a potentially good tool, but as yet unproven.